All right, hello. What's funny, um, ironic maybe, is that I used to complain to Pete, as he can attest, that this whole time we have had things that we wanted to talk about, had things that we wanted to publish, so to speak, and yet we had no content. It's like, Pete, we need photos, we need videos, we need a bunch more stuff. I mean, every time we post something on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, whatever, we need some stuff. And so what's funny is we went and we had some bunch of photos taken, and we played a live show, had some photos from that. And now, of course, we have that stuff, but we don't really have anything to talk about, meaning that we're not playing any shows right now. We are kind of working on new music, so we're not recording anything yet. And so what happens now, we have some content and we have nothing to really post about. So I thought what we'd do is two things. Is I want to have these two kind of projects. One that I call what we're listening to, right? Because what we listen to, Pete and I, it influences and changes the things we write about. And then second of all, what are we reading? And that same thing happens there, right? What we read influences the lyrics and the thematic stuff that we're delving into with our songs. So I thought we'd start today with what we're listening to. And so I wanted to talk about this band that I've loved for quite a while now, but they've been pretty much under the radar. And that is a band called New Madrid. New Madrid is a band that I got turned on to back in 2016. They had this album that came out called Magnet King, Magnet Queen. I thought it was amazing. So then, imagine my surprise, they were playing live at the Valley Bar in Phoenix, which the Valley Bar is by far one of my most favorite venues. First of all, because it's pretty dang small. And while that may not be great for a band that's trying to reach the most amount of people, it's fantastic for the viewers. So for me, I just absolutely loved it. I went, it was crazy. There's very few people there. It was beautiful. It was probably like a Tuesday night or something. That was kind of my MO. But they were amazing. So I've been thinking about them and listening to them since then. And guess what? They have a brand new album out. It's self-titled. It's called New Madrid. It fits along the vein of what they're all about. It's pretty typical, I guess, or it's fits into the sound that they've established. As you can see, actually, let's check it out. Let's see. That's right, the New Madrid t-shirt. Yeah, I got this when I saw them at the Valley Bar back in 2016. Purchasing merch is one of the things I love to do to support young bands, up-and-coming bands. The bummer, of course, about paying to get into a venue is that the venue takes a lot or some of that money, depending upon the venue. But purchasing some merchandise, like a t-shirt, all that money goes directly back to the band. So I love that. So I've had this shirt since 2016. I know. But I just happened to be wearing it today. And so then I was thinking about, oh, well, what are we listening to? And I thought, I'm listening to New Madrid's new album. So perfect. I'm wearing the shirt. It's awesome. Anyway, so New Madrid is a band from Athens, Georgia. And I think that's going to play out very importantly. It's going to be an important part of what we're going to talk about today, because Athens, Georgia tends to produce bands that have some certain things in common, things that I absolutely love. For me, Athens, Georgia is the most influential city, I would say, in my musical parameters, right? I know that there's been tons of other cities that have obviously huge artists and scenes, but for me, there's something about Athens, Georgia. So, for example, Seattle, of course, grunge, and it ruled the world and all that stuff. And there's tons of great bands and bands I love that came out of Seattle. But it doesn't ring as true to me as, for some reason, as Athens, Georgia. The other thing I love about Athens, Georgia is that it's a smaller town. It's a college town in every sense of the word, a true college town, meaning that the city is almost kind of built around and revolves especially entertainment-wise or art-wise, revolves around the university. So I love that. And so for me, Athens, Georgia is very important. Athens was important for me as a college town for a number of reasons. One is I love that whole idea, right, of exploration and art mixing with music, And that's really what was happening in Athens during this key time in my life. I remember when I was in college, I purchased actually a VCR tape of a movie called Inside Out. It was amazing, and it was just a documentary about the Athens music scene. Some of it was shot at the 40 Watt Club, which was this local bar slash music venue where a lot of these young bands got their footing. And while most of the bands didn't become huge successes, there was enough that did. And then, you know, success or recognition is not necessarily the yardstick I want to use for whether or not they were making great music. So, of course, everyone's heard of the B-52s or REM, of course. They both came out of Athens. But I also fell in love with all the other bands, that bands like Love Tractor and Pylon. So for me, that the definition of a scene, and Mitch Easter was a producer around at that time in that general area. And so I kind of fell in love with this whole idea about Athens, Georgia. I've never been, by the way. But New Madrid is from Athens, Georgia. And I think that plays into this idea quite a bit, because there is a sort of eclecticism and just willingness to incorporate a wide variety of influences into the music that I totally pick up on and hear in New Madrid's music. I mean, heck, people may not always realize or understand or think about this, but I mean, on one of their early albums, REM, it was like an outtake, but they covered an Aerosmith song. So what we see is the darlings of underground, or at that time it was called college radio. They were invested in rock and roll, and they knew, bands in rock and roll that weren't necessarily their what people would put them in is the same milieu. Another great example of that is There's Something Strange Going On Tonight, right? That's a Wire song from Wire's first album back in the late 70s, I think 77. That's a cover, right? Which, of course, I never put two and two together, actually, at the beginning. What's so funny is it sounds pretty much, I mean, if you listen to Wire's first album, Pink Flag, that song is on there, and it's pretty much right away you go, I've heard this somewhere before, maybe never fully comprehending that, oh yeah, this was, and I think it was on Green, maybe? I'm really trying to pull out the old synapses there. It was on, I think it was on Green from REM. Anyway, but so, two examples right there of bands that most people would not associate with the music coming out of REM or coming out of Athens, Georgia. Wire was, especially on that first album, was they're a British band. They were right within the confines of punk rock, right? 1977. You do the math, right? So anyway, this eclecticism and this incorporation of a wide variety of influences, not just musical influences, but also artistic influences, literature and drama and physical art, sculpture, painting, drawing, whatever. In that movie Inside Out, they actually had poets in there that would do like these poetry readings before bands came on, or in between bands and stuff like that. So it wasn't just, that's what I'm trying to get at, that Athens, Georgia wasn't just a scene about the music. And I believe that this separates it and makes it a little different than some of the other scenes that I've either read about or witnessed or been a part of in other areas, right? This idea of incorporating an eclectic group of art, even if we're just the ones playing one segment of the art, which is music. Right? So, New Madrid's new album, it's self-titled. It is pretty amazing, but I think the cool thing about it is, like I said, is this ability and this willingness to try new things and develop new things. The song structures are not your traditional verse, chorus type of structure. The instrumentation isn't consistent throughout the entire record. and more importantly, the aural components, the way that it hits your ear, varies dramatically from song to song, and even within songs, which is, I totally love. There's nothing better to me than having a song that I've gotten used to, whatever it is, right? Whatever the tempo and key it's in, and the chord progressions. Okay, I got it, and all of a sudden, something weird happens. I'm like, whoa, wait, what just happened? Is this the same song? What the heck, And I love that idea, right? And New Madrid incorporates that entirely. So, huge fan and super excited. Hopefully they'll come back again. So this record just came out. I haven't seen anything about tour dates, but if they're playing anywhere near you, I highly recommend that you should go check them out.